I mean, yeah, sure.
Everyone, this is Cunning Stone. He is one of the former members of Blue BOKASHI as well as me. His story is from a neutral standpoint, as he will tell you, and it is very interesting to see that, or to hear from him exactly the things that happened that I wasn't able to personally hear or read myself. So, without further ado, go ahead and take it away, Stone.
Right. I think a major thing to mention would be the fact of the matter is like I'm a recent banned person from the Bubakashi thing due to the fact that this whole situation and everything. So I'm not just someone trying to pull out of his ass, but basically this entire situation kind of started when I was I guess I took a long absence just like for myself and some other things that a certain member of the Blue Bakashi had said. And basically, like, I get a message actually from Sokoto. Basically, what happened was that he was telling me that Train wasn't in the right headspace, and he says like for the sake of everyone else, not to tell you about what we will be further talking about. Um, and he was like, I need you. He's like, you need to stay away from Train or say anything to him. He's not right at the moment. And he was like, I don't want him hurting you too. And I was like, is he reacting in a way, that like has something happened to him and he just doesn't want like anyone near him? And I was like, I understand, but what is going on? And that's whenever he invited me to like a party. Yeah, like I end up joining a party with not just Sokoto, but like Jiren, Z Fabulous, and Warrior, Jess or whatever. Um, and yeah, I was kind of like confused at first, and I was like, what does this have anything to do with them? But they, I guess they spared no time in, sharing with me the details. So basically, going forward, Jiren kind of painted Train in like this way that was like he has done something that cannot be forgiven. Period. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like what has he done? So basically, they break down the story for me, what's happening and everything, and they're basically saying that Train is insulting people, and the way that was put, you're right. Like Sokoto was back there, basically like backing up Jiren, and like apart from the times he wasn't, typically he was quiet, but like he definitely agreed with most of the points, and he didn't disagree at all, but he definitely agreed with most of the points that Jiren had to say. But the whole thing, my whole problem was with the fact that like, and the way that they treated you, with like, and the way they were talking about you, like the level that they put you on, I was definitely like, that's not the level that Train is ever on. So if he's done, as terrible things as you said, like I'm not disbelieving it. Like I know that you guys won't just randomly come in here and lie to me. Jess probably would, but definitely not you guys. But like when it came down to that, I was like, there's got to be a reason why he's doing this. And as I continuously listened to him, I was like, hey, did you maybe stop hanging around Train? Did you like slowly distance yourself? Were you doing something? And they're like, oh, he only got beef with Jess because he thinks that me and her are together. This is and that. And I'm like, well, are you guys together? And they kind of just like were like sitting in silence, and I was like, that's obviously yes. So that's probably definitely a factor. And they were like, that's when they kind of brought Rocky into it, and they started talking about Rocky, and like with before mentioning that, like I think a big point was that like they were just basically putting you on this, I guess a pedestal of like Train is irredeemable, and basically mainly with just Jiren, it became like a really hypocritical thing that they were talking about like your view on women and stuff like that. And honestly, I was like, that's like really BS coming from Jiren, and because like this is definitely gonna make Jiren mad. I really don't care, but like for like the longest time, like the entire time I've known Jiren, whenever I mention him to like anyone that I know in real life, they typically tell me, I hope you don't become somebody like that. Because like Sokoto's constantly saying, oh, you remind me just of Jiren. And Jiren is the exact person when it comes to women that I don't want to be. Like he absolutely for the longest time says, oh, don't trust any of them. They're all this, and that, and like terrible, absolutely terrible people. And it's like, wow, that's like crazy. So for him to just act like that never happened and that you solely have said that, I was like, Jiren, you must have definitely changed whenever I was gone for you to just all of a sudden forget all of your, biggest points in life that you tried to flex on me. Like, from coming from him, like, it was definitely biased. And, like, I can understand that, but also coming from Sokoto, I was like, And I was like, okay, there's no reason why Train's like doing this out of nowhere. Like, you must have stopped spending time with him, but at the same time, there is definitely a bigger reason to this. Like, he's not just gonna randomly do that. Like, especially like a direct message. I feel like he's like, no, Train just like he really does not give a shit. Like, you had to have done something or said something or some shit else is going on, and like it just didn't add up to me. And what really pushed me down, like what really got me to be like, nah, this is definitely not cool, was whenever like whenever I decided to say, hey, you know what, maybe you should all talk about it, and that was whenever they brought up Rocky. So like as soon as they brought up Rocky, they started saying how, you know, Rocky talked to you and Rocky told you not to tell anybody, and of course I decided to use like okay, so basically Rocky told you not to tell anybody, and through this situation you ended up tell you know, I guess going through some things and you called her a hoe. In my opinion, you know, I was thinking like that. I was like, you know what? If I like I didn't know what you heard until, you know, Rocky told me, but I was like, dude, like hearing that, I was like, I definitely understand why Train, you know, did what he did. Like if I was in that situation, I definitely would have been pissed if I found out my friend, you know, not only did this happen to my friend, but another friend of mine is dating that exact same chick. I was like, nah, I would definitely be pissed and have said, you know, done the same shit you did. And like, I immediately thought that, and I was like, so like, have y'all decided to like maybe, you know, talk to him about it? Like, bring Rocky, Jess, you know, you, Jiren, and you know, Sukuna. Like, have y'all decided to like meet up together? Have like maybe a mediator like me or Goku? And they're like, no, 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 that you know that can't happen. Like, he immediately just started like saying, just straight up to me, it was like, oh yeah, like we don't want your fucking opinion. And I was like, what, Jiren? I was like, you're telling me you brought me in a party, decided to tell me what's going on, and just tell me I don't have a fucking opinion? And like Sean, like Sokota was trying to say like, okay, you know, like Stone, you're your own man, but you know, you don't have to side with him, but you can if you want to. Like, we're not, you know, whether you want to like associate with him or not, you know, that's completely up to you. Which of course is BS, of course, because later on that definitely was not
Yeah,
allowed.
you got kicked for it.
Yeah, that was like clearly not, you know, an okay thing to do. You know, speaking my own mind, you know, saying it for what I believe in. But like, you know, afterward, like, yeah, they didn't want to let you say anything. Like, they were just like, no one wants, like, and of course later on for the Discord chats, I mean, you'll see, like, I guess everybody else will see him. It's like, this man does not want anyone to say anything, period. And I'm a big thing against, like, I don't care what it is. Like, I think both sides need to be heard. And if they're not letting this, if someone is not letting the other side be heard, the first thing I'm going to do is allow that other side to be heard. And the second thing I'm going to do is find out why the fuck people are, you know, doing that. And I think the biggest thing was that, like immediately after, like, you know, the way that they were talking about it, I was like, okay, so the way they like mentioned Rocky is that like Rocky confided in you. So I'm thinking, you know, if Rocky confided in Train as a friend, then that means that, you know, Rocky told his side of the story. And immediately whenever they start talking about Rocky, Jess decides, oh, but you know, take in mind that like, you know, Rocky is a pathological liar and that he exaggerates everything, or he just straight up lies about everything, and that he's a terrible person. And I'm like, hold up, hold up, hold up. You're telling me the one time you have to maybe convince me to be on your side, or, you know, tell me your side of the story and all that shit, you're gonna use that time to try to shit on someone else's point of view? I was like, you're trying to silence them, and for what? Like, what? Like, and my immediate reaction is not going to be, you know, what you think it's going to be. It's going to be, okay, what the fuck did you do that you don't want him telling other people? Like, you've clearly done something wrong. Like, it's very childish. It's not mature. And I thought it was, like, very fucking stupid.
They're saying all this, and I'm assuming at some point in this little secret meeting, they got tired of your shit, and they just kind of told you to, you know, piss off.
Well, basically what happened was like a little bit later on, I'm trying to remember, like I was like explaining the whole situation. I was like, you should definitely talk to Train. Like, this isn't, like, the way you're reacting to this definitely isn't something like, hey man, like, I get it, you know, she's your girl or whatever, but like, he didn't say something that was like, you know, he didn't say like, oh, I'm gonna go do this to you, or I'm gonna do this to you. Like, he's not like making straight up threats to her. So, I was like, hey man, like, did you say anything to him? And this man told me, like, oh, I talked to him about it, and he just treated our friendship like it was nothing. And I was like, damn, you know, I mean, to an extent, I was like, Train could do that, I suppose, but like, I fully went in, before talking to you and Rocky and all that, like, I fully went in thinking, like, this man talked to you up until you released that YouTube video, and it clearly showed that he didn't talk to you, he just sat there threatening you. So, basically from there, like, what happens is that, like, so, how do I explain this? So, kind of like Jiren and, like, Jess kind of do their own thing, and, like, I was just kind of like, I kind of, like, didn't really agree with them, but I was kind of just, like, sitting there silent, and I was like, yeah, it's whatever. Like, clearly in my head, I'm like, something's not right, and I'm not going to be able to get my opinion out because clearly Jiren doesn't want me to. Like, he doesn't want to hear my opinion. And I was like, fine, I don't know why you invited me to this party anyway. But, like, I was like, I'm gonna do some background investigating. Like, that's on my immediate thought. I joined the Discord, everything's fine. And I think, this is whenever, like, the funniest thing ever happens. It's like, I'm pretty sure it was, like, the next day, your plug thing was, I guess, someone never turned it off, or whatever it was in there. But basically, it still shows when you upload. And as soon as you upload, like, maybe, like, 10 minutes later, Jess leaves the Discord. And I was like, uh-oh. And everybody was like, wait, why'd Jess leave? And everybody sees your thing, and they're immediately, like, starting a witch hunt. Like, they immediately, at that moment right then and there, wanted to take down the video, and Jiren's calling for, like, flagging it and stuff like that, and all that. And that's when, like, Sokoto came in kind of like a defense and was like, nah, wait, seriously, don't do anything. Like, let me fix this. I will talk to, and I don't know if he said he was going to talk to you or whatever. He literally just, like, it was very
I
cryptic.
didn't hear
He
a
just said,
fucking peep from this man.
like, Sokoto did post, like, what you sent to him, the whole, like, we're not friends anymore, and, like, you telling him that you shouldn't die or whatever, but, like, you also told him, he was gaslighting, and, like, you further, like, I guess, talked about the whole situation, and he was just like, it is what it, like, he literally reacted to it, it is what it is, good night, Blue Bokashi, sorry for the trouble, that morning at, like, 9 o'clock, he was like, all of us who were able, and here I'd ask you, please report Train's new video for harassment and bullying. I'll do you guys courtesy of linking it to make it easier so you can see the kind of delusions he clearly suffers from. So basically, like, Jiren sat there and led a goddamn witch hunt, and he was just like, this man does not live in reality. Like, they straight up just sat there and was like, this man is suffering from, delusions and doesn't know what he's talking about and this and that. And I said no, and he said, then fuck off. And then, of course, everybody sits there and starts following, saying, happy to, this and that. And he responds to my no, I guess, I thought then fuck off was, like, clear enough, but he decides to, like, no, I'll bite, and he's like, we will not be supporting nor hearing anyone else's perspective this time around, and if you'd like to stick with Train in his clearly diluted state, you have every right to go with them. And I was like, what happened to, like, me having an opinion? Like, what happened to me having a choice? Like, I get Sokoto said that, but, like, this is also, like, you are not the leader of this clan. And I don't care whether you call it a family or, friends or whatever, like, you're not the leader. And, I might not be the leader anymore, but, like, Sokoto was the one who told me, as a friend, if you want to still associate with Train, associate with him. So, like, for you to, like, tell me and insult me, crap like that I can't associate with him, what happened to, like, freedom of speech? Like, what happened to, like, us being friends? Like, what happened to any of that? Like, you kind of just, like, threw that out the window. And that definitely upset me. But, like, at this whole time, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of gonna, like, I kind of went the route with just, like, allowing his actions to speak louder than my words, if that makes sense. So, like, there was no way I was gonna make people realize it unless, and for some reason, people still don't realize it. But, like, I wasn't gonna allow people to realize, his problems unless I, like, specifically just allowed him to just, like, lose it, basically. So, I told him, I was like, it's funny how we're friends, and instead of trying to ask why I think or believe this way, you would rather just make threats against me. And he literally sat there and was like, I don't care what you think, and he sat there multiple times telling me, he's like, to keep my opinions to myself. It's like, and I can have them. Like, he literally says, like, you can have a fucking opinion, just don't fucking tell anybody. And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, like, the fact that you would really try to silence me. And, I guess it kind of, like, it didn't really, like, make me mad per se, but I was definitely disappointed in Jiren. And, you know, with the way he was going about things and the way he treated you, I definitely wasn't happy about it. So I kind of made a joke against him, kind of relating to your last video. And I need to point it out because I find it that funny. When it came to you saying that, you know, she has a blown out pussy and it looks like a roast beef sandwich, and you laughed, and he said, so yes, it is funny. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I laughed at the end of the video too, so glad we both think it's funny, but still, stay on point here.
Yeah, he
And
was
I was
mad
just
mad
like,
after that.
oh my god, I was dying. Cause like, dude, like the whole thing about like with everybody in the room that I was with, like we're like, me and Jiren are like the same age, and the fact that like he's sitting there saying all this shit, like it was very immature. Like the way he's handling this entire situation, I think is just very clearly immature. And like, man, like if you're gonna act that way, and it's just like, nah, man, I'm gonna poke fun at you a little bit. Like it's just, I have to. Like you're clearly not, you know, I guess mature enough to like either have this many friends or be able to talk about situations like this. Like, come on, man. Like you're growing up. You're about to get out of the world. Like, dude, grow the fuck up. So, you know, and he just sat there and he's like, you know, to basically saying, he's like, you continue on this, like, you will have a good reason to think something is funny. Like, he just sat there and threatened me, and I was like, dude, like, I'm not fucking having it. Like, dude, like, screw off. So he's like, why don't you get in a party with me? And I was like, dude, like, I mean, I have time before the Batman movie, but like, you know, I don't know. Like, sure, I guess. So I sat there and I joined his party. And, you know, because I did have the time, I was like making some freaking crazy breadsticks or whatever. Like Little Caesars that previous night. So I'm like sitting there putting him in the microwave. And I jump into this man's party. And of course, like, you know, my headphones are like shit or whatever. So like, you know, it's going to echo either way. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to get my headphones out of my bag. I'm just going to like talk on the speaker phone. So my friend, you know, my two friends sitting there. I'm at their house at the moment. And we're sitting there in the living room. And this man starts like yelling at me, straight up not allowing me to talk. I was like, no, man, like let me talk. He's like, no, you can't talk. You know, you can't say shit like this is that. Dude, like, I'm trying to explain. Like, I don't agree with everything Trent has to say. Like, I think to an extent, maybe he went a little far. Like, you know, but at the same time, he has like, it's one of those situations where like the ends justify the means. Like, he has a good reason for doing it. He's also your friend. So I think the way you're reacting to this is a little bit far. If the situation is done and over with, and he left, why are you going out there out of your way to flag his video? It just doesn't make sense to me. I was like, just back off, let it be. But no, if we're able to do that with literally everybody else in this clan, how come we're not able to do it with someone who's actually our like close friend? Like, this is not cool, man. So like, you know, he sat there just continuously yelling. Of course he didn't let me say anything. He just sat there and yelled at me. And like, honestly, like I was just sitting there like, you know, I didn't know how to react, and I was like, yeah, in all honesty, there's no reason to like get all upset about it. I was like, you know, I was kind of like memeing on him a little bit with the whole like end of the video thing and like all that shit. So I was like, you know, I'll let him have this. You know, I'm just gonna sit here and continue making my crazy breadsticks. And like, I'm also kind of talking to myself, I guess, to keep myself sane. So like, you know, I kind of make a joke. I was like, damn, I dropped my crazy breadstick, and he just went silent. And he was like, so you think it's funny? And I was like, I mean, kind of, but like not really. Like, I mean, you won't even let me say anything, and like you're talking so fast and so loud and yelling in the mic that I barely understand what you're saying. So I'm just letting you vent, man. And he was just like so fucking pissed, and he just kept going off and off and off. And eventually, eventually my friend was like, "Yo, let me talk to this man." And he's like, "How old is this guy?" I'm like, "He's like 19." He's like, "Okay, so you know he's your age," and my friend's older, so I think he's a good judge of character. And he just sat there and started roasting this fucking man. He's like, man, you were disrupting the peace in my home. Like, you were sitting there yelling at my friend. He's sitting here making some fucking, you know, crazy breadsticks from Little Caesars. And you're sitting here just, like, absolutely trying to tear this man up. And he's, like, being chill as fuck about it. Like, the fact that he's being chill as fuck and you're, like, not allowing him to speak. And you're sitting there having gaslighted him and telling him he can have an opinion and, like, not fucking share it with anybody. Like, dude, you're not just gaslighting people. You're just a fucking asshole. And, like, I don't know who, you know, and of course I told him a little bit about the situation. He's like, I don't care who this, you know, train guy is or whatnot. Like, you're just a fucking terrible person. And you need to, like, stop fucking yelling at him. You need to chill. Like, after that, Jiren went silent. And he was like, you know what? He's like, leave my party. I can't handle you. You're like, you know, go talk to Sakura. You know, it was really just, like, him just sitting there yelling at me. It was really immature. And, like, I was like, dude, I'm trying to explain to you, like, I don't fully agree with his point of view. I'm just saying that you're being a terrible friend, and the way you're reacting is bad. And if he didn't want to hear that out, then like he's either too far gone or he's just like too ignorant. And it only further gets worse in that chat. And it's like I feel like it was kind of comical, but like someone joining that Discord later on was just like
Right in the middle of
just
it too.
uh
That was
yeah,
beautiful.
and it was just like it showed kind of like my thing is that like how do you think people are gonna react like whenever if you're treating like Train this way and like you're treating me this way, what about the people who considered any of us friends? Like what about people newly joining in? Like how are they going to react to it? And I think that was like it's one of those worst case scenario situations, and yeah, it definitely became that way. So like, Jaren comes back, and of course like this like fetus guy, I don't even know who this fucking guy is, goddamn no life. And like this magic person is like, comes out of nowhere. And like I like how like this fetus guy is talking because like he acts like he knows me. He's like, why is he bitching? His ass left for fuck knows how long. He has no reason to be mad at a but like be mad. But a Discord tantrum sounds fun to him. He just needs to get mad at something. And then I guess he decided to like talk about my daddy, but like, that's whatever. I guess what happens between me and my daddy stays between me and my daddy. But fuck off, fetus. Like my whole thing is that like he's sitting there talking about like a Discord tantrum, but like at no point have I caused one. Like like it is only Jiren like putting paragraph upon paragraph of like, this ridiculous shit. And like I just find it comical because like he of course he told me enjoyed the Batman, but like he's like
Yeah,
I don't
once he
know.
realized that he was starting to look bad, he
Yeah,
immediately
he's like,
started doing damage
oh yeah,
control.
this man sitting here saying, you know, but I am standing strong on the fact that what you said will not be heard. Like, dude, if you're saying shit like that and you think you're in the right in any situation, someone needs to punch you. Like, someone needs to
I'll
straight up
do
deck
it.
you. Yeah, and
I'm
I'd be
100%
happy
for
and
you.
willing to do it.
Jaren, if you're listening to this, I will 100% fight you.
It's like if you're saying we are all pretty fucking aware of reality, I was like, I don't think you are, Jaren. Like, you're not, you're not aware of like the real fucking world. Like, if you were to walk around saying that shit, I guarantee you either most people are gonna ignore you and think you're fucking, retarded, or they're gonna either just like straight up deck you in the face and be like, you're my bitch now. Like, stop being a bitch boy. Like, that's actually stupid. Um, and like, this Flint, like this magic person, continues to just act I guess as an ignorant person, like saying like, oh, this guy's won, ding, 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 after like
Yeah,
my
just
fucking
cheerleading.
roommate, yeah, after like my fucking friend just like absolutely roasted him in the goddamn chat. So I put an emoji there to just like, to rub some dirt in his eye, which I also said later on, which I thought was really funny. So like this random guy joins in, like we said earlier, and he's like, I heard of this Halo Discord, and like, everybody's going like, Pickle of course greets him well. And everything's going fine and up until the point where like he starts talking about PlayStation and like this guy I don't know I talked to him later on and he's like I guess joking with him like everybody and he was like yeah I was just joking with him I told him I played Halo on PlayStation like clearly he was just joking but like at that point Fetus kind of like just shits on him and he's like I didn't know we let retards in here and like Jazzy's like hey man like can you like calm down and like this is the big part he's just like talking to me. He's like, "Hey man, like what's with your language?" And I'm trying to find where it says he was like, for some reason, he has to be really vulgar, and that's kind of the funny part where like Jiren just tries to act all normal about the situation, and that kind of pisses me off because it's like he completely acted like he was devoid of all problems. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I'll calm down." Like, but also like it isn't my fault. Like it was just really stupid. And then the fetus guy, this is what he said that I was like really bothered by. He's like talking shit about Pickle and like replying to Jiren, and he's like he liked to get down and dirty with Train. Let him be mad. I don't know. It just like I don't know, just further pisses
Obvious,
me
just
off.
obvious lies.
Yeah,
And
and
the part when there's a part in there where he starts talking shit about like because Rocky at one point's like, hey, this is
oh
unacceptable. We
yeah,
shouldn't be doing any of this. And then he tells Rocky to shut his mouth, and I'm like, who are you to tell Rocky to shut up?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like,
just,
uh,
you shut the fuck up, you gay
like
little bitch.
Rocky has more to do with the situation than this guy is. And like, I thought it was comical how this guy like sat there and was like, Stone left for like how knows how like that was what I thought was like ridiculous. Like he's like Stone left for how long? And I'm like, dude, who is this guy? You know, like literally like this guy sits there and he's like, hey, I don't fuck with how big being toxic, bro. Like you gotta chill the fuck out. He's like, I came in here to be chill. Damn. And like of course Pickle's like, oh dear. So from that point, like, like of course, I guess Jiren decides to say, sorry man, we really usually are. I was like, bruh, like no, it's like, I mean, we are, but like, this situation is mostly caused by you, and I know you're gonna watch this video, like, June's gonna watch this video thinking it's me, but like, at the same time, like, you're the one who's sitting there either gaslighting people or just telling them to absolutely shut the fuck up and don't say anything. Like, you're silencing people, and it's like, not okay. And of course, like, this bad fetus guy is like, don't talk to me. And like afterward, he decides to like personally send me messages. Like I was like, who is this guy? Like, and then he decided to send me this giant like I don't know if you know what they are, but like basically it's like if you basically put like a bunch of periods and
Yeah, no,
dashes.
I've
And he
seen it.
said, yeah, he said no bitches, and it was Megamind. And I was like, I thought he was joking with me, so I said no maidens. Like I thought it was an Elden Ring joke. And then he got like furious. He's like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "There's a difference," and he like just started calling me like a little bitch boy or whatever. I was like, "Nah, definitely the same." It was like a joke back to him. I was like, "Yeah, I'll get right on that, buddy." Like I'm sitting here watching the Batman. Like I really don't give a shit with what you had to tell me. Um, but like yeah, he just started like trying to tear into me, and he's like, "There's a clear difference between good people and bitches." So okay, so I just realized there's a part in like the Discord that I forgot to mention. So basically, what continued on from that conversation, whenever he said like, "Don't talk to me," like basically what happened was, and the fact that they have a person, whoever let this guy in, I am absolutely baffled by. Whenever it comes to like like allowing him to stay for as long as he, because this man literally told me, and I shit you not, he's like, I hope you hang like a faggot in the Middle East. And I was like, dear God, dude, like, who hurt you? Like, who touched you? Like,
The
what
funniest
is
part is
going on here?
what he said next, where he's
Oh yeah,
like, "I can
and then
sit."
like I
Yeah,
called him out on it, and he's like, oh, he's like, well, I'm gay, so I can say that. I was like, what?
just
I was
wow.
like, that is like stupid.
Yeah,
That is like so fucking
yeah,
ignorant.
that's so dumb.
It just like this guy absolutely baffled me, and he sat here just like fucking making fun of himself, and he's like talking about shit like I'm literally telling him like, dude, you're super ignorant. Like you have no idea what's going on in the situation. He's like, and he's like just saying how like my arguments are dog shit, and I was like, dude, what arguments? You're not even letting me speak. Like you're just like my arguments aren't dog shit. I'm literally telling you like you're silencing other people's arguments. Like shut the fuck up. And then he called you an angry virgin. And I thought like this shit was funny was because I was like, dude, no one here wants to be with Jess. Like that's not a thing. Like maybe you do. Like maybe these all these people who are sitting here like fucking like playing this shit up really badly. Like maybe they want to be with Jess and like they're defending her like she's their queen or whatnot. But like I, I definitely don't, and I know
Well,
you
the
don't,
thing is
and
like
it's ridiculous.
because he's gay, or he
Oh yeah,
says
true.
that he's gay. He likes to think he's part of the the part of the females, female collective,
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
the part of the
That's
sisterhood. And
comical.
it's like, no, dude, you're not. You're just a weird dude that they
So he's
use
like,
as cannon fodder.
nah, man, I don't even think that. He's like, this man basically stooped lower than low. He basically like is the gay guy that goes to like the girl sleepovers so he can get pussy that he can't get.
Not even that. He
That's
goes over there because no one wants to hang out with him, and they just use him. They just like sit there and pick on him, and he's okay with it.
that dude. That's even worse than anything. That's just sad. But yeah, basically like this. I think it's like D Will guy. So basically, like what happened was that this man like calls me or whatever, and because apparently like Pickle talked to him or whatever, and he was like, hey man, like what was all that going about? Because like he was kind of agreeing with what I had to say. Like he looked through it all, and he's like, like why does it seem like they're trying to silence this guy? So like I talked to him about it, and I told him the whole situation that was going on, and like I was like, hey man, like I'm really sorry you came at, like a really bad time. He's and then like all of a sudden, this fetus guy texts him, and he starts like going in there and like saying like I'll give you my dick and like this and that, and I thought it was kind of like really stupid but very funny. So basically like he was like, call me then, you won't. So then D Will guy was like, Yeah, I will. Sure. Calls him and sits there and like this dude was like a black guy or whatever. So he sits there and like just like I mean he tears into this like Peter's guy. Won't even let him talk. And like it's just like the most funniest thing I've ever heard about in my life. Like it was just like I was dying of laughter. And like sitting here like he was just like I don't know, just like N-word here, N-word there. And like the guy was trying to be calm at the part way through it. He was like, "No, all right, all right, all right, calm down, calm down." He was like, "No, no, no, you don't get to be calm, man. I fucking own you now." I was like, "Oh my God."
Damn.
He just
Yeah, you like
destroyed
that, gay
him.
boy?
Yeah, yeah, he literally, oh yeah, he sat there and was like that little Fruity Loop syndrome you got going on over there. I was like, "Oh my God." Well, I mean, like my whole thing is like, I think it's a big thing, like allowing people to speak, and like I don't think at any situation is it right for you to absolutely try to silence somebody. Like it's just fucking wrong. And like over time, like I sat there and I was like, there's too much in this situation that looks like it's like someone is not telling me something, and it must be, the whole thing with Rocky. So like, Rocky called me and just talks to me about the whole situation. I'm like, yeah, man, don't worry, I got you. Like, I understand, everything's going on. You have to explain it to me. And then this is when I'm pretty sure he was just like explaining like his side. Like, I'm pretty sure he was just being like, I didn't know, everything would blow out of proportion. And this is when I was like, all right, dude, I need to test something, because like it's killing me how like he sat there and he opened up to you as a friend and just shat on him. Like I couldn't stand it, and I was like, all right, look, man, I was like, I get the whole you talking about it. It's a public record thing, all of that. I understand your point of view, and like I let him hear him out on it, and I wanted him to like somewhat talk about just as much as he possibly could, in like the most normal circumstance. So because I was gonna use it like I guess a dependent variable and independent variable, and like basically like he sat there, talked about Jess, and he did it in the most calm way possible. If she's sitting there saying like everything that's coming out of his mouth is like fucking lies and like ever over exaggerated, this fucking baffles me, because he had not a damn bad thing to say about her up until I said what she said to him. Like that entire time he was talking about her, caring about her, you know, treating it in the most, I guess human way possible. And like I sat there and I was like, damn, that's crazy. So like, you know, if this is how you react, behind closed doors, if this is how you react behind her back, I would like you to understand, the other side. Like I want you to know how she reacts behind your back. And I said what she said. And I shit you not, this man lost it. Like he was pissed. And of course, you got the more in-depth version, but like he just basically, started spit-firing shit to me. And I was just like, nah man, like that's all you gotta say. Like this definitely like it speaks volumes. I feel like if this is how, he reacts behind closed doors, and this is how she reacts behind closed doors, and my personal experience from her, like she's like, not gonna lie, she's a gaslighting bitch. And
Yep.
on his side, like he's very mature about like the whole situation, very calm about it. And like, throughout all of that, I was just like, hey man, it's all right, I get it. I don't, believe her, I don't trust her for a fucking second. And then this is whenever he started like, I guess, I know this is a more personal thing, but like, just I guess to really speak, stuff on this man. Like I'm sure he's got, his own stuff going through, that he's going through. And I'm sure like he's got, a lot of this stuff like weighs on him and stuff like that. Like, this man like started like talking about himself, like it was his fault afterward. And I was like, nah man, like stop right there. Like everything you have just told me, you might not have gone in depth about it. Like you definitely mentioned enough. And I mean, like, if you knew, and I know the reviewers really won't, but like, if they fucking knew, they would immediately be jumping on the same shit that we're all jumping on that know about it. Apart from that, everything went well with him, and like, I was like, look, man, this ain't your fault. Like, seriously, dude, like, you know, I trust you, man. Like, I thank you for, talking to me and everything. I'm glad I got to talk to you. But like, seriously, dude, this is not your fault. And everything that happened in the past, I know she's been trying to keep you sound as, as much as fucking possible, talking shit about you behind your back. I'm fucking sorry for that, dude. Like, seriously, you know, don't, you don't owe her shit. Like, you don't owe anyone shit. Like, don't go around thinking that you do. Like, seriously, man. You're your own man. Like, keep going with what you're going with. And, I left it, with that. I came to you and I talked to you about everything that they were going through. And, later on, of course, I did end up talking to Soko. and I guess I can explain that afterward, but I think, since we're on Jess right now, and I think, it'd be the best time to talk about it. So basically, my experience with Jess, apart from the whole thing of, like, coming back to class one day and being, like, absolutely, like, I guess, punched in the face with, like, I guess, a convenient moment for her, was basically, like, something that was, like, blatantly kind of, like, dumb, was just, like, her, kind of, like, so, like, I guess, like, when me and Jess became friends for, like, 2 days, and it was like basically like we're sitting there and like like Red Dead or whatever, because like the clan plays that a lot, and all of a sudden, and I thought it was like the weirdest fucking thing, she decides to say, I'm horny, and like of course, like Tyler was there and all that shit, and I was like, we're all sitting there and we're just like,
Inappropriate.
what? Yeah, I was like, what? And like she was talking like, no, it's the deer, and I'm like, nah, man, like the way you said that and the way you reacted whenever I reacted to it, like, nah, man. And like, I guess we talked about it or whatever, like, some shit. Cause like, I felt bad about like the whole, like, I guess spontaneously convenient, you know, thing I guess, right thing she talked about. Basically, I was like, you know, let's talk about this horny thing, whatever. And like, I basically just like would occasionally joke with her. I told her that as a joke, and we'd like, we'd go back and forth, insult each other. It was a normal thing, and I was like, that's cool. I'm glad I can sometimes, just talk to people like this. And like, I end up joining in like with a party with her later on. She was like, just like, I don't know. She's like, just like, hey, you want to join a party with me? I'm like, sure, why not? Um, and like, like her other friends are in there, and I start getting like fucking like jokes made against me about like how I have a micro penis and some shit like that. And I'm like, that is like the most out of pocket joke I guess you can make to somebody. Like, I'm not sending you dick pics. Like, we're not, fucking, doing any shit like that. So like, why are we talking about like penises out of nowhere and shit like that? And like, I was like super fucking confused, and I kind of got annoyed with it. So I left the party and like tried to be alone until like I got dragged into a different party. And of course, she eventually joined it, and I was just like, dude, like fucking go away. And like, of course, I guess things escalated from there. And like, really, what happened was like she randomly texted me in the morning, and this is gonna sound really random, because she deleted all these texts. So basically, like, I was like, it was like 3 in the morning for me, and like, just the only text I could remember, and it had to do with some situation with Waki I don't know about. Um, Basically, she just randomly said, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, but she's like, "Do you believe in Jesus?" And I was like, "What?"
What the fuck?
I was like, "What is
You
going
keep the
on?" And like,
Lord's name out of your whore mouth.
yeah, and I was like, "Look, I'm gonna read these in the morning," just to find out she deleted them all. And I was like, trying to talk to her about it. I was like, "Yo, what is going on?" And she was like, "I'll explain later." So I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So like, my friend Michael wants to play with me, and like, Michael is an awesome guy. So he's someone I've grown up with, and he kind of treats every situation kind of like you and me do. But like, he's like the most chillaxed person ever. But if you shit on him, he will fucking roast you, and it is the greatest thing ever. So basically, like, we sat there in the party, and like I allowed him to join. And everybody like in the end, like Sokoto and all them, like they said like they had an okay time with him. But for some reason, people like Jess like had a problem with him. And like, we sat there in the party, and we all started talking and joking around, and all of a sudden, like, it got like super fucking heated, super fucking quickly, and like they just started shitting on my friend. So of course, in my friend's defense, I'm gonna like shit on everybody in that fucking party, and I proceeded to do that. A lot of people got upset, a lot of people got mad, and Michael was doing the same shit too, because we're gonna defend ourselves. And he, at the end of it all, he was like, yeah, I mean, like, some of them were cool in the end, but like I have no idea why they started doing like that was all like really fucked up shit. My experience with her was just like, at the end of it all, Sokoto acted as a mediator. I sat there with her. I explained my side of the story, and kind of like with the whole Rocky thing, she spent her side, instead of explaining her story, just sitting there like fucking gaslighting me and shit like that. Um, Apart from that though, like I guess we could talk about the whole Sokoto thing. Me and
Yeah.
him talked over phone. Of course, I apologize for the thing I mentioned in the very beginning of like telling you all about everything. But at the same time, I told him, I was like, in the moment, like, and still now, I feel justified doing so. But if I broke your trust, it's understandable. If you never want to trust me again, I also understand that. But at the same time, I do feel justified with what I did. And, I am sorry that, I hurt your feelings. I am sorry that I, betrayed you. But at the same time, like, the way everybody's treating Trent is not cool. And he's like, And like he was talking, you know, kind of in the same way Jiren was, where he's like, what he did was like unforgivable. And I was like, no, man, like Death did stuff that most people would find unforgivable.
Yeah,
And I'm one of those people, like, that's
that
a pedophile situation,
that gets you
you know?
killed in prison.
Yeah, and like with this, like it's like, no, man, all he did was like say, you're a hoe. You know, I basically like, you know, talked to him about it, and like I told him everything that was happening in that chat. Because at the very end of that, before like all of a sudden I woke up to me being having been banned, um, I was like confused as fuck. Like Sokoto was like appeared out of nowhere, and he's like, "What is going on?"
Stop itching
Like
your
very
eye. Joe.
confused, very like distraught. And then he came to me and he started like, you know, getting upset with me, and he's like, "Dude, you better explain to me like what's going on like right now. Like what did you do? You know, what's happening and all that stuff." And like I guess he thought that I was gonna deny everything. Like he was like, "I don't know who to trust right now. And everybody's lying to me, and I'm tired of people taking care, you know, advantage of my kindness." And I told him, I was like, "Look, man, you know, here's why I, you know, I said, you know, here's why I sided with Trey." He's like, "Okay, and what about this? Like, how did Trey know that information?" I'm like, "Dude, look, I have nothing to gain from lying to you. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you." Like, I told him that. Like, at no point did I ever say I didn't tell him that. Like, no, I did. Like, and I told him why I did it, and he was like, "Okay." And like, we had a long ass conversation about like the entire thing, and honestly, it was longer than I wanted to have. But at the end of the day, I told him, I was like, "Look, dude." I was like, he is not as bad as you're putting him out to be. And I don't know why you feel that way, but at the same time, it's like the way y'all treated him wasn't cool. And yes, he wasn't, I don't think, you know, a lot of what he did was okay. But at the same time, you know, it's like you definitely don't shut him out. Yeah, so like basically, you know, we're sitting there talking about it, and like I tried to, like, he kept saying, you know, playing you up like this, you know, impossible thing. And I was like, look, man, I was like, no. First off, all he did was call her, like, you know, how it is. Like, it's, in all honesty, most people will think, you know, that's not cool, but also, honestly, for as far as you're taking it, they're not going to think it's that deep. And, like, you know, of course, he started talking about other stuff. He's like, no, there's more shit that he's done. There's more stuff. I was like, look, man, it doesn't matter. He is not on the level of Death and Python. And, like, that's my problem. It's like, in the beginning of the moment, like, at the very, very start of this entire conversation you and me have been having, like, that is the type of shit that they were saying in that party. It's like, he is on the level of Python and Death. It's like, no, man, he is not. Like, there's no way this man is a pedophile. Like, and you're not. Like, it's just not, like, that shit's not happening. So, like, I'm sitting there, you know, talking to this man, and, like, I'm trying with him and all that, and we start talking about the Discord, and, you know, and of course, like I said earlier, you know, he's like, confused as fuck, he's distraught, and, you know, eventually, I kept saying, they, and also, I do want to give Sean kudos, or I do want to give Sokoto kudos, because, like, at the beginning of this, I do have to say, Sokoto was the only one to at least hear me out. Like, out of every single person, you know, I'm not gonna talk about like Rocky and Goku because like they obviously heard me out. But like out of like the whole Jiren and him and Jess thing or whatever, like he actually sat there and he's like, because no one is hearing you out, I'm going to sit here and wait and let you say the whole thing. I was like, okay, fine, yeah, let me do that. So I did, and then we had a, you know, civilized discussion about it. And like he actually sat there and listened to me. Like he didn't sit there and interrupt. Like, you know, he didn't go in there like fucking yelling at me like Jiren did. Like, you know, he actually sat there and listened. And, you know, I get even props to that. And, you know, for that entire conversation, you know, we sat there and I was trying to tell him, like, no, he's not as bad as you say he is. I don't care. Like, yeah, he's done some bad things, you know, so is everybody else. Like, don't act like, you know, you, or definitely don't act like Jiren is, like, you know, devoid of that shit. Like, you know, everybody does bad things. That's the whole point of, you know, human beings in general. And, you know, we sat there and eventually I kept saying they for the Discord until finally, you know, he's already apologized for all this because I've expressed my genuine disappointment in him for it. Basically, he says, like, I kicked you out of the Discord. And I said, dude, why the fuck would you do that? Like, I didn't even know how to react at the moment, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was just like, dude, that is some, like, actually, like, dumb thing to do. Like, you're telling me in an entire, like, Discord of people who are completely shitting on one person, the other person defends them, and they try to silence that person. Like, your decision was to decide, as a leader, I'm going to make the executive decision to ban that person. And like his reason was like, oh, I didn't want them to continue giving you shit. And like my thing is like, dude, I understand that, but at the same point, that does not protect them from private messaging. I'm sitting there trying to like explain it to him, like how that was like absolutely like stupidest decision you can make. And I told him like there's obviously a guy named Fetus in there who's like, you know, doing ridiculous shit. And he said that they removed Fetus. And I was like, okay, still, Like you have an entire fucking like, kudos to you for making one baby step. But at the same time, you have an entire, Discord of people who are like fucking sleeper agents and they're goddamn attacking one man. Like, dude, this is like super uncalled for. And like I told him that, and I was like, dude, like this is like you need to let this man live his life. Like you cannot just sit there and just like continue to harass him the way that you're doing. Like, yes, you say he harassed somebody, but like you're doing the exact same thing, and it's not cool. And like, he eventually, I like, while we didn't 100% agree on everything, like he did eventually kind of was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, look, man, it's like, I don't know if you don't know what my end game is. Like, I'm not, 100% siding with Train, but like, I don't agree with everything he has to do. But like, if I did the same thing for you, like, I wouldn't agree with everything you had to do either. Like, my whole problem is like, the fact that like, of what, what it came down to. And like, I'm only gonna mention this like one more time. Like basically like the whole thing with like earlier with the whole Rocky and her thing was that like he sat there in the party and like I didn't know he knew what Rocky, had to say. So whenever I mentioned it and he said, I know what happened to Rocky. I was like, dude, I told him I was like, dude, that's just you're being a bad friend at that point. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, you're telling me you knew what happened to Rocky and you allowed Jess to make those types of comments in that party. You allowed her to say that he was a pathological liar and all that shit. I was like, soak it up. It's like, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Not only am I disappointed for you deciding to kick me out and ban me from the Discord, like, absolutely no fucking reason, but also I'm disappointed in you for just allowing her to say that shit. And he was like, well, I didn't like it. I was like, well, still, like, he is your friend, and he's definitely more of a friend to you than she is. And I'm like, that was definitely not cool, especially if you know what he's been through with her. And like I made that very clear to him, and he apologized for all of that stuff. And I was like, look, man, I was like, honestly, he's like, you need to have, a meeting with everybody. He kept telling me, no, no, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna like, not everyone's gonna be a part of it. And Goku's wants this Kumbaya thing. And I was like, look, man, did you talk to Goku? He said yes. And I was like, okay, then I am telling you, as a human fucking being, I don't care if I'm your dad or not, you will fucking have this meeting. He said, why? I was like, it does not matter if these people don't want to have this meeting. There are some people who didn't have. If this is has far, okay, if this has gone this far, there are some people who genuinely have problems, and that needs to be talked about. And I'm talking about Jiren, and I'm talking about Jess, and I'm talking about this whole goddamn witch hunt. The whole idea of it is like, if you are that like, if you're just that childish, and like that like so, I guess dead set in your ways and so ignorant, and not wanting to hear someone else's point, like not just not wanting to hear it, just like them to be like fucking excommunicated basically. Like I don't know, like you need to burn the fire. You need to like just like, you know, just something needs to be done with you. So look, man. Like you're sitting here telling me, like you like, and that's the whole idea. Like we sat there for like 2 hours talking about you and like all this stuff that you supposedly did and all that stuff. And like I was like, look, okay, fair. He's done bad things. Like then again, so has everybody. But at the same time, even if that was all building up, like even if that was, a justified in your head reason to ban him, okay, let's put me on the chopping block. What have I done? He was like, okay, well, you definitely told him stuff that I told you not to say. I was like, okay, fair. I will give you that 100%. In fact, I will say that is just as bad, if not worse, than, him, calling her a hoe. Okay, what else have I done? And I was like, okay, well, I can sure as hell assure you that what you're doing is not okay. And, what you've allowed is not okay. And, what they're doing does not add up to anything. And they're like, and that, I think that's when he realizes, like, yeah, maybe this was, like, too fucking far. And, all of that. And I was like, look, man, I was like, I understand you don't want to force people to make decisions. I get that. And you don't want, to have to sit there and tell them that they need to talk about their problems. But at the same time, like, I don't give a shit what they have to say. Like, this needs to happen. Because if not, then I think that only speaks volumes on them for how shit people they are. I guess not want to hear someone's story. Especially with what you said, like, really, like, I get it, I get your feelings and, why you send those messages and stuff like that. Like, at no point had really just allowed, what's your side of the story? And that genuinely pisses me off.
I guess if I had a final message would be, I agree. I hope this Kumbaya goes well. I will also be distancing myself for quite a while. I'll be making videos with other people, and I mean, the one I put up earlier today was evidence of that. But if I had to say anything to Sean, is that I'm also disappointed. I expected more. from you, Sean. I expected you to be the mediator you told me to be for Wolves of Reach. And I mean, if this sounds harsh, I mean, whatever, but you failed as a leader. And I hope, again, sounds harsh, but I hope that shame follows you for a little bit, because you need to be humbled. Jaren, just, you need to get away from this chick. There's a reason why Rocky has panic attacks now. Like, it's because of this chick, and that's why, and you don't end up like Rocky. You already have enough troubles as it is. You need to focus on getting a job, fixing your car, and getting your own place. That's what you really need to focus on. Just focus on yourself and finding out who you are, because I don't think you know who you are. That's why you change your profile picture literally every single day. That's why you can't settle on just one specific look. It's always something different. You always have to have this anonymous thing. And then finally, my last little bit is to the rest of Blue BOKASHI. I know y'all don't like me. I know my text message to Sean is probably the main reason why y'all don't like me, and fair enough. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I don't like myself all that much. But just know that there are things and there are people among y'all that are detrimental to y'all as a group. I'm not saying y'all need to kick people out. I'm not saying you should excommunicate people. What I'm saying is y'all need to at least know the truth about some of these people. And you need to recognize that these people have an effect on you, whether that you actively observe it or not. And I think y'all need to start making some decisions about, what exactly would be best for you. Now, I'm hoping all of y'all can stay together. I think for the most part, a lot of y'all are really great. However, as you can see, there's obviously trouble in paradise.